former NFL player. Played for the New York Jets, the Minnesota Vikings back in the 70s, the glory days. Joe Jackson is now an evangelist and an author, and his new book is out now, and it's called Championship Sunday, An Uncommon Pursuit of a Dream. And he joins us now to share his journey of how he was able to find faith amidst the struggles of life. Joe, welcome to Hope Today.
Hey, Tom, God bless you, brother. It's great to be here.
Well, I have to ask you, Joe, you're from Cincinnati, born and raised Cincinnati. What are you feeling like this morning?
Well, I'm feeling like we just lost Super Bowl, brother. I don't know. It's like, my home team lost the game. I was so excited for the, not so much for the Bengals, but for the city of Cincinnati. It would have been so much for them. The game, we had every opportunity to win, but if you don't have an offensive line that can keep people out, they have a great quarterback, but if you don't have an offensive line to protect him, then he's going to not be effective. And basically, that's what happened yesterday.
Well, I think that they're going to be a problem. As I mentioned, that the Bengals are going to be a problem for the Steelers for many years to come here because they got a good young team, I think.
Well, they got a great quarterback, and they have some wideouts, and they have a running back, and obviously they have a rookie field goal kicker. But they need some offensive linemen. I really believe they need a right tackle and a right guard. But we'll see what happens. To go to the Super Bowl, 200-1 odds against them to be there at the beginning of the season is pretty incredible. So. Right. Yes, there's some excitement in Cincinnati. There's some excitement with the Cincinnati Bengals as well.
Right. Well, Joe, tell us about your story, your journey. I mean, obviously you were a talented athlete and played at New Mexico State, and you also, obviously made the NFL. But tell us about your young life and how you came to know Christ.
Well, Tom, I grew up in the Black Baptist Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I suppose I was about 12 or 13 years old, and the pastor said, "Who wants to join the church?" I never really heard an invitation, who wants to give his life to Christ. And that's not necessarily a knock on Second Trinity Baptist Church, but it just seemed like you joined the church, and that was something I did at about 12 years old. And two things happened to me. I was baptized. And then my name was entered on the church roll. But for the next 6.5 years, I just brought my street attitude, my street character into the house of the living God and had nothing happen on the inside until I was an 8-year-old freshman on the campus of New Mexico State. I'm walking home from football practice, and Ken Johnson approaches me and he says, "Hey, big man, have you got a minute?" I said, "What's the deal, brother?" He said, "Well, here is the deal. God loves you. God's got a great plan for your life." He used a little tract called The Four Spiritual Laws. And this was at the height of the Jesus movement. I don't know if you recall that, but it was a pretty phenomenal dispensation of the Spirit of the living God that's been poured out on young people all across North America and parts of the world, actually. And it was through that invitation, it was through that contact that he prayed for me. And I gave my life to Jesus Christ, saw no stars, heard no voice, didn't get knocked on my hind quarter. But Christ did a work in my life. A seed was planted. And here I am today, about 50 years later, as an evangelist for Jesus Christ. And God is so faithful.
God is faithful. And that could have been me back in the 70s. I was involved with Campus Crusade, and I shared the Four Spiritual Laws a lot with people. But how did you get from there into what you're doing now? I mean, what was the trajectory of how God led you into being an evangelist?
Well, Tom, I'm the least likeliest person to be an evangelist, not because I didn't love God, but because I had such a fear of public speaking. This was incredible. I would do almost anything than to say, "Hey, what do you know? My name is Big Joe," in front of an audience. I was dropped from the NFL. The doctor took my physical, and the doctor said, "Son, the x-rays of your left knee reveal gross degenerative arthritic change. Your career is over with." I said, "Wow." So I began to teach English I earned a degree in English, so I taught English for 5 years. And at the same time, I started working for a promotional company called Rainbow Production. And they brought in artists, Bill Gaither, the Imperials, the Archers, Andre Crouch, and Evie Turnquist. So I got involved with them, putting up posters, introducing the artists. I began to do some singing, music ministry. It was more easier for me to sing in front of 1,000 people than to speak in front of 5 people. But God was weaning me from my fear. And after 5 years of teaching, I thought I was going to be a teacher and a coach for the rest of my life. I'm tracking my master's. I was cut from teaching after 5 years. And the Lord said, okay, you are ready for this next phase of your life. And began to do speaking, music ministry, and that's how the transformation happened.
Joe, let me ask you about, you in the book you talk about, and you're an evangelist and you've shared the gospel all over, but you talk about how to know if you're a natural born evangelist, or I might call it the heart, if you have the heart of an evangelist. And you have some points here, like you value the lost, you love to share your testimony. Could you ask me or comment on this one? The gospel excites you to the point that you just keep talking about it. Could you share why that's so important, and how does that work out in your life?
Well, if you know the gospel, if you know what Christ has done in your life, if you know what Christ means in your life, you want that to be conveyed to other people. You want that truth to be revealed to other people. And if the gospel is real, God is real and real in your life, you want other people to know that God loves you and God has come that they might have a life in its abundancy. And there's so many times where people are striving for life, striving for name, gain, and fame, and they come up short, because they will always come up short. There's really one fulfillment and purpose for your life, and that is to know God and to walk in his power. I like that verse, man, that you shared. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You look at the words out and for, they're both prepositions, out and for. You're not working for salvation. You are living out your salvation day in day in front of your wife, in front of your family members, in front of others. And it's not so much that we are working for salvation, because we can't do that. It's by grace that we are saved. So Jesus Christ simply changed my life. I was on a wrong path. He gave me the success or the power to overcome a fear that has gripped me in terms of speaking, in terms of having the confidence and the courage to do the work that He called me to do from the foundation of the world.